Yeah. I think the ones on the back might be old ones.
You don't know. I might be ripping, might be DJing before the night's over.
What is it?
Good evening, everyone. And bring this Board of Finance special meeting from March 11th, 2026 to order. Mike Anderson, the chair. I got Dan Smith, vice chair. Carl Johnston, alternate. Eddie McGowan, alternate. Lou Gingerella and Winona Burdine. And I'm going to seat Carl Johnston for Sarah. And I'm sorry, Gary Nino's online.
Correct.
And Carl Johnson can be seated for Sarah, who's probably at the school function. On to the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any public comment?
Okay. I'll only say a few words.
Where are you from?
Sean Murphy, 23 Kingswood. Dark side of the moon. I won't say too much. It's evident that some of my comments are ignored or not always well received. So I think I'll limit them. At the last meeting, I mentioned how we were in violation of not only how we used to do business in town, but also as in a state statute. Since then, it's someone else has come up. Brett Mastriani came forward and read statute to the selectmen, and it's lo and behold discovered that changes to salaries necessitate the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance to vote on them. The labor contract for the town hall employees was completed by July of last year. And 2 months later, I guess it was decided to open that contract back up and limit it to only, although that we have just gone through a process of paying lawyers on both sides and spending a lot of our town employees' time to negotiate the contract, all the aspects of the contract, not just salaries. 2 months after they signed the contract, they decided to reopen the salary section of it. This was done, I believe it's been mentioned as a result of we dropped Daryl from the agreement, which is a matter of our management rights under contract to reduce the hours of an employee. We dropped the IT position, and that one actually may have been a battle with, the attorneys, the labor union, because we went contractor instead. But a promise was made to do a salary survey, although negotiations were just completed and those salaries were okay with both sides. And a salary survey was completed that I feel did not take into all the considerations of the rest of the contract, not just salary, but individual costs for healthcare, all the elements of the
The
contract,
fringe.
number of holidays off. They appear to not have seen any of that. Maybe you have gotten a copy of the actual, the results of the salary survey, but it appears from the conversation that most all those other things were not considered. I feel and I say again, in my opinion, we should not be changing salaries during the fiscal year versus any salary changes I feel should be included in the budget. We're telling taxpayers that these are the amounts that we're gonna spend for salaries, and now lo and behold, they have no comfort in those numbers ever staying the same, although they just voted on them. I realize there's times that come up that necessitate things during the year. An example is when you have a new hire and you want to be able to pay more money to get a person, then it's always, that is, in my opinion, that's justifiable reason to go to the Board of Finance and, ask and, justify that increase and so forth. But to look at salaries across the board and adjust them because someone made a promise to a labor union that they'd change the contract that they just negotiated, or at least look at salaries. I don't feel that's justifiable to do it during the year. It's not an urgent, it's basically an additional appropriation to each one of those line items. I know there's been savings elsewhere and there could be transfers done. But I don't think just because you have money extra in one area, you should make a point to, move it into another area during the year. And I have a lot of respect for the folks at Town Hall. I'm glad, I wish that they get a, fair wage, but I would have thought that would have been a fair wage that was including that in the contract that they negotiated 2 months prior. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Sean. Now, on your first point, I really haven't had a chance to look at and think about, and we haven't had a chance to talk about adding something to the front page of the budget, as you had brought up previously, and I'll look at it again, and I'll let Bob speak to when we get, is that we getting that to everything? I guess we can go right to it.
What's your name? Where are you from?
Bob Carlson, 241 Northwest Corner Road. So just because I would have waited to we got to that part of the meeting, but since you made it, I'll just do public comment. So this will be the third meeting in a row that I've been told I did something wrong. It'll be the third meeting in a row. I said, hey, I apologize. I did not follow the process correctly. I mentioned that not having Brett Mastriani there as my watchdog who knows all statutes and ordinances like the back of his hand was going to say, Bob, we need to do this. So with that said, during the negotiation, there was a 6 month trial originally with the union when we brought in someone as a third party IT. And during the negotiation, we said to the union, they said, hey, you took 2 union people away from us. What are you going to do about it? I said, well, we'll do a salary survey. I said, myself and Suzanne are not going to come up with pay raises. But first of all, why would you believe what we believe? Why don't we get a company that does this for a living? We did a salary survey. And if you watched my meeting today, which was voted 3-0 by the Board of Selectmen to accept it, we said, how do we correct this? Well, let's have a Board of Selectmen meeting, which I would have done next Tuesday, but we did it today. So you could act on it tonight, yes or no. But we said, we made a mistake. Why don't you just go back and try to correct it? So I said that I'm the one who screwed up. I've never done a salary survey before since I've been a selectman or a first selectman. We did borrow the one that Preston did 4 years ago. And if some other town does one and we're part of it, like we were on that one, we get to get that one. So we don't have to pay for one. So that was about 3 or 4 years ago. So it's not like we have to do another one anytime soon. We satisfy the union. We're keeping our two non-union positions as non-union positions. The total amount of money, I believe, is somewhere around $8,000 for the last quarter. We had the entire amount of money to the employees. We have more than $8,000 in the assessors line. So what I plan on doing is an appropriation that says the assessors line, and then 8 positions after that. We're going to be, when we get close to being over, before we go over, I'll get the appropriation, what it'll cost for the rest of the year. We'll make those 8 whole by moving the money from the assessors line to those 8 lines. But I don't know what else I can say about it. I mean, I don't want to go back to my employees and say, I'm going to pull it back. well, if I did it wrong, they shouldn't be penalized for that. So anyway, this will be the third meeting, and hopefully this will be the last meeting we have to talk about it. Maybe I'll talk about it during the budget when we get more in a public comment, but in a public hearing rather. But we tried to correct it. That's why we're here tonight. You didn't have a meeting scheduled. I didn't have a meeting scheduled. Thank you for scheduling this meeting, and hopefully you put this to bed.
Thank you, Bob. Any public comment online? Raise your hand if you did. Seeing none, we'll move on to correspondence. Gary, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Just back away from the mic just a little bit. I'm getting a little.
Little feedback? Is that better?
Yep, that's better. Thanks.
Oh, okay. As far as correspondence, I've received several with regard to not-for-profits responding to our memo of understanding with the Board of Selectmen. I've passed those on to Lou to review. And I did have some correspondence with Jennifer Lineweaver, who's our assessor. And I'll kind of get into that when we talk about, when we get into our discussion about the budget and grand list stuff and the numbers there. It's just more, it'll make more sense if I talk about it then, but other than that, we can move right on to our next agenda item, which is the salary discussion.
And just so we're clear, I just want to go through what the process was as far as the survey itself. We've already gone through the process on how it happened. So the process was this. The staff was interviewed by the company, which is Randy Frank. Questionnaires were completed by the staff. Review position duties and responsibilities, determine exempt versus non-exempt status of positions, review job descriptions with administration, update job descriptions. Positions were rated by complexity. Position is rated, not the incumbent. Assign salary grades to first selectman and administration finance officer finalize salaries. And this is the part I missed. Go to the Board of Selectmen for a vote, go to Board of Finance for a vote, which I didn't know about the Board of Finance part, but I won't forget it again because we'll put the note on the budget going forward. The towns that were involved in the survey were Valentine, Sterling, Griswold, Brooklyn, Ledyard, Lisbon, Preston, Sprague, and Basra. And we had a total increase of $35,733.98. And the savings to the town by changing those two positions was $12,764.62 to the good. We have a net savings, even with the raises and salaries, of $62,906.61. That's all I got. I think you had that paperwork the last time, and Winona has it today because I just gave it to her. Okay.
Do we need a motion?
We do need a motion. That's, I'm just looking.
I got my hand up.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Before we do anything, can we do anything? I mean, could we be as bold as saying, no, we don't agree? But is that going to open us up to litigation? So under the collective bargaining, I don't know who the expert is on all this. Can we undo what was done? I hate to even go down this road if it's going to create that, and we should know that answer before we act on this. But thoughts?
So I would like, before we answer that question, Gary, and I apologize. So I missed Monday and I haven't had a chance to review the meeting. So beat
No
me
sweat.
up. beat me up, later. So I just want to catch up slightly here. So the survey happened, and if I'm understanding a little bit about where we ended up is that we needed to just kind of get in line regionally, and so there were eight positions that we increased salaries on, and then it looks like there were a couple of positions that were taken out. That's the part that I'm missing. Help me with the positions that were removed or changed.
The ones that were taken out weren't part of the salary. Like the assessor was in there. Do you have the old one that has the assessor in it?
No, I'm looking at yeah, I got that. Yep.
Yeah, but you have the one that has the assessor in it, because that was the first draft. We took her out,
Okay.
because she wasn't really part of the study. She's part-time. And I think that you have the one that did have IT in it also. So there should have been one you have today that I gave you. That was-
That's on the top. Yep. Oh, no, that's the one I'm looking at right here. Yep.
No, this is the one we're looking at.
The one that should have
You got next one?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Yep,
7.
Bob, the one we're looking at is the salary comparison after survey results with the net difference on the bottom, 62,906.61, right?
Yes. So it should be 62,906, 90661.
Okay,
Correct.
so it's on the front now. So it's gone. Okay. And so then the IT director is no longer a position.
It's no longer a position. We use a third party,
Okay.
Star Computers.
So is that position like now out of the contract as well?
Correct.
Okay, so the assessor was not part of the survey. So that's off of the initial set of documentation that was provided last week. But then the IT director is a position that's no longer like even listed on our list of positions.
It's listed on your budget, but it's filled by a third party IT. It's not an IT director.
Okay.
And on the animal control, so that was, part of it was the survey, but part of it was she kept going overtime constantly, and we were paying her overtime. We decided to increase her hours. That's why her pay increased. I'm comparing this year's number to last year's number. So that's why she's so high, because a lot of that is moving her from 30 hours to 35 hours, because she was constantly getting overtime.
So the motion should be to ratify, accept the actions of the Board of Selectmen.
Whoa.
Can we
There's
ask
a
a couple
question, there's a
questions?
question still before there's a motion here.
Well, I thought we talked about having a motion so we could have a discussion.
I would like to know if legally anything can be done to reverse this, should we choose to, before, because otherwise, are we opening ourselves up for legalities?
So would it be wise, Gary, to see what the feeling of the board is? If the board feels that, then I guess, yeah, we can move forward till we get a legal opinion. But if the board is not going down the road, if they're feeling that this would be probably something they would approve, then you don't have to go down that road. So I guess it depends on what the board's feeling is as far as the original question, to pass it or not pass it.
Okay, I'll go along for the ride, Bob, but you just made my vote for me.
Okay.
Right, can we discuss a few more things before the motion comes up?
I'm fine with that.
Okay, so I know you've got on your list, you had other towns are looking for employees. Are there some of the people there's few of those people, would they be ours that they're looking at? In other words, since if we keep our rates or cut our rates down, the other towns that had on that list, are they gonna say, oh, we might be able to get that one for the price that they just reduced it?
Well, I'm not sure the answer to that question, but who knows? But given that part of the package I gave you last time was,
Yeah, it had some-
just to give you just a planner's position, there was an opening in Wesley, Waterford, and Groton.
So there's quite a few openings.
So, and I think it was 21 or 22 opens total in this area for all different positions. I'm just trying to solidify a town team of employees, which I think is an asset to the town, have not just employees, but employees that basically do their job and do it well, to keep that group intact. Now, we could still lose somebody, but then you have to have a salary that you can attract somebody back to the town if you do lose somebody.
Okay, I agree with you there. So the next question would be, as we've had with other employees that got raises, is there any other guarantees or incentives to keep them if we're gonna give them the raise? That's,
I don't think, I don't know how you would, you always have to have someone sign a contract, right? To have them say that, and they wouldn't leave. I haven't seen us do that with anybody in town, ever.
okay. And then the only other thing is, I think Brett brought up, you gotta take an effect of all the, benefits of everything. I would think most of those employees going somewhere else would probably match benefits anyways, or close to it.
So,
So I don't think that's a big, to me, that's not a big option.
so when we said that, we didn't compare benefit for benefit because you couldn't have, I don't think the company called different insurance companies to say what was the benefit.
Right.
But they weren't included in the survey. If you work for someone without a medical, with no medical, you couldn't include it in ours. So they had to be medical for medical. They may not be identical.
Yep.
One might be United, one might be Blue Cross.
Okay.
So we couldn't identify it unless they went to these insurance companies and said what their plans were.
Right, and I'm on board with Gary that we ought to check before we deny, if we're all on the board to deny. I mean, you could want to do a ring vote if you want, but I think we need to know that if we deny it, who's liable and how do we pay the employees back?
All I was saying is if you're gonna deny it, I'll call the labor attorney tomorrow and get that answer. If you're not gonna deny it, then why spend that cost for me to call the labor attorney? I'll do whatever you want. I mean, doesn't matter to me.
I got a question. So
Okay.
when do,
Thank you, Bob.
you have a union contract and you have obviously regular town at-will employees. When are there normal step raises or regular performance raises given every single year?
So on the town side, there's 3 steps. So typically after you've been an employee for 3 years, you're at your top step.
No,
already.
the date.
Oh, on the anniversary date.
So it could be, but when you do your budget, you account for that number
Yes,
already.
yes,
into it.
and those numbers are counted in these numbers. So steps and the 3% as of July 1st, if this budget passes, is already in this number.
Based on the contractual or their given raise for that year is already baked into your current budget.
Right, so that.
Dollar amount on top of that is not.
No, that's not, no. So these numbers that are in this page right here, this one,
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
that is the current 26-27 budget that we're proposing that includes all steps and the 3% raise, which is contractual. So these numbers are the same numbers that are in your budget. So if you look at these numbers, the first one, 48, 23, 38, you're looking at your budget, it's going to be an identical number. So there's no increase on that over what's been proposed in the budget.
But that budget doesn't go into effect till July.
That's correct. That's good. So that would be, right. So we're talking about 2 different things. What was don't forget, this process started back after July when we did the negotiation. We started it in September. It took about 3 months to get all the information back from the third party. Randy Frank was a third party group.
Yep.
After the holidays, we started sitting down with employees going through it. And then we finally finalized everything in February. And then now we're in March, so.
My issue, honestly, it is the early pay. Honestly, if you said, hey, these are the proposed ones that we haven't started paying people. And this is, if the budget pay is passed for July 1st, and that's how we're gonna go, I would be fine with that. However, it's early. You're already paying on something.
Yeah, so we're about 2 weeks in. It would be the 4th quarter. And we calculated what these payments would be. It's around 8,000 total versus what we're saving in the assessor's office for this year.
Yeah,
And
I
the
get that.
assessor's office saving was more, so that's why we would go for an appropriation.
Yeah. Okay.
And this, it wasn't like the 35,000 was hitting this year.
It's in tight budget years, every dollar counts. And also, when we talk about other towns like Groton, Westerly, which say the planner, that planner position already pays more than this town, correct?
I'm not sure. I assume
I'm
so.
sure- it's
Usually a bigger town pays more.
Bigger towns have bigger budgets, can afford to pay their employees
Correct.
more money. We're a small fish in a very big ocean. So if somebody's gonna go and jump for the money, they're gonna jump for the money. They're gonna come.
Well, I
here.
don't disagree with that, but
So-
also you need to, if you do jump for the money, then you have to have money in there to attract someone to your town, correct?
So I just have one quick question.
Sure.
So one of the reasons that we're saving money right now is because the assessor is not a 40-hour-a-week job.
It's a part-time job. And so
Gerald did it for 40 hours a week for years, right?
40 hours a week.
So right now, our assessor is also Stonington's.
Yes.
For whatever reason, if she decided to retire tomorrow, we would have no assessor then.
Correct.
So then we would have to go back to the drawing board. When I was looking at this, I look back, and forgive me if I'm outdated here, but I grew up in the town hall, being that my mom was the tax collector for years, and my aunt was the town clerk and tax collector for like 30 years before that. So when I hear the issue about retention, I'm like, I remember growing up and there's the same people always working. Cheryl's still in there, whatever. But if the assessor in Stonington decides to step down and retire or whatever, and she decides to go to a bigger town and or whatever, what is our plan B then?
We'd have to put the job out for we have to post the job for what it is.
Is that something you might be concerned about, though?
Not in today's state, but I'd be concerned, definitely be concerned. But I think if she was to leave for whatever reason, I don't think we'd go back to a full-time assessor because I don't really think we need one. I think we could maybe share one with Town or some other town. Maybe go 3 days with us, 2 days with them. I don't think we'll ever need a 40-hour assessor again.
Okay.
So Bob, I have a clarifying question. So specifically, let's look at line B 4.01, assessor's assistant. Just trying to reconcile what we have in front of us. If I'm looking at this correctly, on page 2 of the handout tonight, this is showing the new number of $60,590.40.
Okay.
But in budget, the budget we just got tonight, it looks like that's $60,088.00.
60,000. So B401, assessor assistant, 60,590.40. And what does it say in that budget?
So I don't know if I'm looking at the right budget. So
Is it draft 3?
Look at the bottom of the page.
Third,
Draft 3?
first draft,
no,
Yeah, don't look at that one.
where's draft 3?
there it is. Take mine.
Is it match?
I'm
Where
sorry.
where
I
did
don't
we
know
get,
what you
where did we get draft 3 tonight?
In the file of paper that's over there.
I gave her that file.
want. There it is. Just use mine.
No, it's, we're on it. It's
Okay.
in another,
Does it
I'm
match?
sorry.
As long as it matches. I'm just, okay, good. Never mind. I'll stop. That's from last week. This is tonight. Got it. Never mind. Ignore. So then do we have draft 3 in Excel on email? Don't give me that, please, Daniel.
I did send it.
Ooh,
I sent it.
I don't think, I don't have that.
Oh, yeah, I think that was the issue.
I only have draft 2 in email.
I think we sent it on Monday, maybe, or Tuesday, I don't know.
Wait,
It is.
okay, locked or not, I can still grab it, but I don't have an email from Mr. Bob.
It would have been from Mike Anderson would have sent it. I sent it to him.
Yeah.
That would have been Monday, I sent it to him.
Okay, Mr. Mike did not forward it.
Have to,
Draft 2 in Excel.
point and change.
It's not in there.
Oh,
Well, Sean, the good news is we're on draft 3, so
So the draft was the one we just did on Monday? Yeah.
so whenever we find draft 3 in email, if someone could forward that to me, that would be super.
So Donna could probably send it to.
Take the microphone back with you.
Unlocked would be preferable.
I thought they all had it on Monday evening, didn't?
I think we all relied on the hard copy that night.
Yeah, we did, because I don't have it either. I
Okay.
got two.
Carl, you don't have it either?
I do not have it either.
Thanks for confirming it's not just me.
I don't know. So they might have. I don't think it was sent.
Yeah, we only have draft 2.
You know what it said? It changed, it wasn't put draft 3 on the budget, on the cover page, it still says draft 2. It said if it's a 707, it's draft. You gotta send it out again.
Yeah, I'm speaking and I'm on mute. That's one thing. Yeah, I can't see where I got it. I guess,
You know, instead of sending it unlocked for that item, they should let us know what the code is to change it. I mean, it'd just be the easiest thing. Oh, it would be, because you don't want to, I wouldn't want to send out an unlocked spreadsheet. Only to the people that should get it and know how to unlock it should do that.
Yes.
before we decide, we're gonna all right, we're gonna get back on topic. Robert. So I think there's a general consensus that this board would have preferred any raises in salaries be part of the new budget. That's actually originally what I had thought. Until we, you talked about it. Personally, I'm only speaking for myself. I understand that during those negotiations, I imagine that, with two positions being eliminated, that there was some give and take with the union. And that's precipitated a labor survey, and that you made a decision as the CEO of the town to maintain your staff in town hall who do a great job, that we had money left in the present budget line items, given Darrell's leaving and the IT position being gone, that you could cover those raises to the end of the year without, it's an appropriation to move money, but it's not an appropriation for new money out of any fund, correct?
Correct. We can, well, if it's in the same category, no, but if it's in a different category, which this would be, I have to come out of the assessors line and go to multiple lines. I have to come to you.
Right.
So I think it's because it started so early and took so long to go through the process. And that the attorneys knew, and the employees knew we're saving the money this year because we've had the third party IT all year. And we've had the assessor since Jen started in the fall. They knew we were saving money this year. So it was basically, when is this going to happen? So once it finalized, so okay, we'll start it now. It's only for the last third of the year. And then we'll put it into the budget moving forward. So I mean, it wasn't like we carried this all year long, which we saved money all year, but we didn't carry this all year. We only started paying it in the last quarter. So I think that was the thinking, just trying to be fair with the employees. And we talked to you went on the meeting today, but the board of selectmen all agreed, this is our first time we've done this. And in the future, if this ever gets done again, that we would time it so it would work with the budget. So you would never do this again because of what the feedback we have. We kind of learn by our mistakes. That if this was happening in, say, 3, 4, 5 years from now, time it in such a way that it corresponds with the budget. So we're not doing this third quarter situation, a third of the third situation. So,
And again, I can only speak for myself. If we all agree that the increases that are in the budget that we're discussing to be going forth for 26, 27 are reasonable, given the survey and more importantly, the job that the employees are doing and we have to rely on the selectmen, all the first selectman and the selectmen to make that assessment. If we're all in agreement that the new numbers are good and we're not challenging them, and of course, I think we all can agree we would prefer that they had started then. But I think the safest thing now that the process has taken place where the selectmen have voted and sent it to us, and because it's not costing any new money out of undesignated fund or anywhere else, we're just moving money that we're saving into something to provide to these people that was kind of part of the negotiations with the union. Our best bet, in my opinion, is to vote to approve and move on to the budget.
I would just like to say that if this board feels that these employees deserve this, which I do as the first selectman and one who works with them every day, if the board thinks they deserve this, I hate to see them penalized on me not doing the process correctly, that's all. So if I screw up the process, shame on me, but I don't think I wouldn't want to hold them hostage to my process inabilities to, if we all agree that we have really good town employees and this increase, we're not talking like tens of thousands. These aren't giant increases, but overall, do they deserve it? And I do think they do. And that's why I would hope that you would vote to say, let's move this forward. The process has been somewhat corrected. The last piece of correction is the Board of Finance to vote on it and then put it behind us. And of course, it's still going to be on the budget. So we're still going to get, I'm still going to have to explain this at the public hearing, why increases happen with the employees. So in the upcoming budget.
What's the harm in undoing it and doing it by process and having it roll out with the new budget, Bob?
Well, I think it's just, we're trying to, we saved the money in this particular year by making the changes this year, Gary. I think it's just showing good faith to our good town hall employees, as I would want to. And I think we're sending a bad message to those employees by saying, we don't think you deserve it. The Board of Selectmen might have thought it, but we don't think you deserve it.
I think that's a step difference that people are making.
I don't think it is. If I was one of those employees, I was going to say,
we violated a process here. We did not follow what should be done. It's completely different. Personalities aside, and I think the town hall staff is doing a great job. Love every one of them. But we messed up here. We need to do what's right.
that's why we had the meeting today and the meeting tonight to try to correct the wrong and move forward with what we think is right.
Is it true that if we vote it tonight, if we do come to that and we vote it tonight, it resolves the entire issue procedurally, legally, however we want to describe it? It's behind us and their pay is accepted and going. Is that?
I would say the only possible dispute would be on a period from when it was started to today's vote by the Board of Selectmen and our vote today, which would be a 2-week period. And I cannot see how a union would come after this town for paying their union members too much.
No, I think you're right on that. So to me, this is a procedural issue.
It is.
The Board of, yes, don't say that, man. This is procedural. If he had come here 2 weeks ago with a 3-0 vote from the Board of Selectmen saying this is what we would like to do, and it's in our budget, I would have voted for it just as I will tonight. And I don't know how you couldn't, but go ahead.
So we have multiple unions within our town, correct? Like this is not the same union as the ones across the street, right? Like, are there any issues with like how we've treated this union versus how that union is treated? It's different entities. Does that matter? Are we setting a precedent? Are we opening?
We already set a precedent. We opened up the union contract of 2 months.
So that's what
Sean
I'm
said
asking.
that. We opened up we finalized the union contract after 2 months. We opened it back up and we added money to it.
That's not a precedent. That's
We
just,
hardly ever do. During COVID, when we were strapped for money, we didn't open the union contracts.
is unless I'm wrong, I could be, I've been wrong more than once today. Both parties have to agree to open up a contract.
Never said they were correct for opening them
So the
up.
precedent is irrelevant because if one group wants to and the other doesn't, it doesn't happen.
I was never aware that they opened it up after 2 months. Were you?
No.
Were you?
What, it's
When
not our
they
call.
opened it up after
When they
2 months.
reopened the union contract after 2 months.
I don't know if that's.
How'd they open
exactly
the,
right.
I don't know.
That's what Sean was
No.
saying.
That's what.
That's what-
That's opening the contract, that's the sum.
The MOU didn't happen until last month when we came up with the total difference in pay and we had the results. Then we went to the union and said, do you agree with these results? Will this satisfy what you wanted? So that's not 2 months after the contract. It's actually 7 months after the contract.
That's a big clarifying. And so the union was apprised of what you wanted to do with these particular salary positions.
It was, and actually, if the union could have come back and said, when we brought back the final numbers and we sat down with the employees, the union employees, and each one individually, we had to send a MOU to the union representative and say, this is what we came up with. Do you agree with this? Would you accept this? Because they knew we were going to do a study because that was part of the negotiation that we were doing.
And what was their answer?
Yes, they were okay with the results.
Okay. Gary, does that help at all?
No. Did the selectmen vote on this?
I'm talking about, they voted today.
And they all voted unanimously to support this
Yes.
retroactively. Got it.
Yes.
But the rest of the discussion didn't help where I was, but thanks for asking.
What?
I said, you had asked me to, the answer is no, not really, but that's okay.
I'm confused. I mean, I guess it's it would be legal as of today, of everything is done as it should be statutorily as of today. I think the question was, does this open us up to litigation? My opinion is that if you came out, you started talking to the union early on that and they're like, what are you going to do because you're losing these two positions? And you start a salary survey and you do 2 months ago or a month ago and said, this is what we came up with. And this is what we want to talk to these individuals about. And the union said that's satisfactory to us. I don't think there's an issue with anybody coming after the town for having implemented the salaries when you did.
And I don't think there's going to be some bad feelings, but I don't think there's anything wrong with allowing this to start with the new budget, as opposed to trying to put a Band-Aid on a misstep here.
And what is the cost of having it implemented from 2 weeks ago to the end of the 25-26 budget year? Do we have that number somewhere?
I believe you said it was $8,000. Between 8 and 9,000.
8 and 9,000.
That you're moving. There's no additional money because there's savings and the position changes. There's no additional money, just moving money from one line to several others.
Are all these union positions? Which ones aren't union positions?
Can you come up to the mic?
B104, B113, B10 are non-union and the other one's a union.
Can you say that again?
B1, 1.04, B1.13, and B1, B10. Those are non-union positions.
Okay.
And we
Also
did the-
B26.
Sorry, B2608, animal control officer, correct. But when we did the town hall survey, we took all employees into consideration.
The town planner is a union position? They supervise an employee? Okay. Usually you don't see that in unions. But
What was your, what was the motion that was made today?
The motion was to accept the results of the survey salary. Salary survey, sorry.
Can you say that one more time, Bob?
The motion today was made by, I think, Nicole, seconded by John, was to accept the results of the salary survey.
And is that
It
sufficient
was-
to cover a change in salary retroactive to March 1st or whatever?
It was part of, I mean, we discussed the whole thing, and then that was the way she made the motion. But as part of our results was to what we've done, which is instituted 2 weeks ago and then put into the budget for next year. So that was, I mean, I go back and watch the meeting, I'm pretty sure that's what she said. It was simple, somewhat simplified, was what the town wanted to do with the results is what we want, what we voted on. It was not like, well, let's not do the implementation now and do the budget. It wasn't to do the implementation now and the budget, was just to accept the results. Step in here if you'd like to have him tell the. So,
So my questions were same as everybody, the budget lines and being it's kind of touchy, being transparent with the taxpayer, because we all know they voted on a budget. You had line items in that budget, but this was known during contract negotiations that this was going to happen. Now, luckily, we didn't have to come back for an appropriation. We ended up covering it by saving salaries. And then we mentioned going forward that if we're going to do this and this is going to be a habit, then we need to start in July or before July. We need to be ready when we go into union contracts. This is what we're going to do. This is why we want to look at it and have survey results, something like this, if it's going to become a habit, prepared in time for contract negotiations so we don't come into this mess again.
Is your understanding that the motion that carried 3-0 today was to accept the salary survey whereby the
Enacting the pay raises.
yearly salary would be what would be from the wages of 2026 paid from here on out until the end of the fiscal year?
Yes, so as to give the employee, my understanding is to give the employees at the raise that was on the actual salary survey, and that was going to be retroactive from the first pay period, so we didn't have to go back and try to take it from employees. Because like Bob said, he's admitted, look, I made a mistake. We're trying to correct it now. We've gone through all the motions to correct it. Now we're in front of you guys.
So if we were to say no, how many months do they lose out on their raises? How many? When is the end of the year? for the
Four
new
at
budget?
least.
Or until the budget gets passed.
Or till the budget gets passed? 4, right? 4, paid weekly or bi-weekly?
So once July 1st happens, if we don't have a budget passed,
It
we're
still
based on
continues.
the previous year's budget.
Yep.
I got a question on that. So like Carl was saying, if we're gonna be on the previous year's budget, we still show the cost savings, correct? So if we enact it as a new fiscal year, that savings is still in there and could provide for them raises. If we were to be stuck, like Dan's saying, if the budget don't pass, we still have money in that line item to provide these raises to the employees.
To
Yeah, but
follow
you-
through. until-
Yeah, but
To follow through until a budget was
but then you're
approved.
de-obligating it and then you can only add to that line item once. That's considered
But that's,
appropriation.
I agree, but at the same time, he's taken in the current raise already in the new budget. So when that comes in, we wouldn't have to come back for an appropriation because it would be covered.
I don't know if we can do that because basically, if he went out there and de-obligated it out to every single line item and then would say it had to continue to stretch out and everything, he would never be able to he could never add back to that line item again.
But he wouldn't have to de-obligate till the end of the fiscal year. So we would have to go the whole fiscal year before he we would
no,
technically have to de-obligate that because the money's in the salary line covering it. And if we go 3 months, we're not having to reallocate money because it's still in that line item. We're still covering their current salary. And it wouldn't be coming into effect till March of April of next year, even if we suffered that long, not approving a budget.
Maybe I'm missing something here. In the new budget, the new pay is in there.
Yes.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter if the new budget gets approved as this is presented, that's over. It's all we're dealing with now is just these 4 months. Because that will have been voted, if it stays like it is, that will have been voted on and passed.
But normally when we do de-obligation, it's at the end of the year. That's when we move the line items around and everything. It's the massive cleanup where we sit here with a stack and we move here, we move things here to make it all work.
Right, but that's not what I was talking about. So we only need to worry about this part and we need to do it now as opposed to at the end of the year. Something we've done other times, we've moved money other times, not just at the end of the year. So I understand the procedural headache that all of this is. But I'm also thinking about what kind of message we send if we let a procedural issue get in the way of an agreed compensation to the employees. I just think that could set a very bad tone.
And basically negotiated.
Right, exactly. It's like, this isn't something that they're out in the streets demanding. It's like everybody worked through this together. There was a procedural problem on how it was presented. We've got to fix that. No, I just think that's what it amounts to. And I think we've spent a lot of time on this. Let's make a move and let's kind of put this together.
I mean, I guess. Sometimes it's easier for me to say the hard things, so I will here, but I feel like I don't know when this salary survey was started, but and I guess maybe the process wasn't well vetted, but why are we, did anyone on this board know that this was happening until last week?
No.
Because I look at some of these numbers and look, I think we have great people. I don't disagree with any of this. Like the premise is great. I understand it. I get it. We want to keep the people we have. But when I look at some of the numbers at 10, 11, 12% increases, like this is big. And we knew that we were going to have a tough budget season. So part of my angst is that I feel like this is like a surprise that it's March, middle of March, and this board is just hearing about oh, we were going to do this salary review, and there's a potential that an average increase of 10% is coming across the board, and oh, we're going to pop it in the middle of the existing budget season. So I feel like for me personally, there's a little bit of that as well. So I'm just going to throw that out there so I don't know, maybe I missed the memo. So I've got that kind of sitting there. I'm concerned about optics of this. I really am, but I'm also concerned about, there's this 35,000 overall, like this is 10 or 11 lines of budget that we have to get passed in the rest of the budget too. So this isn't a slam dunk that everything's going to get approved whenever we go to the voting box in May. So there's a lot here to unpack. Do we have any other options here? Like, is this something that we can not do for now and pick it up in the next budget season and potentially come back to these few weeks? I don't know, like.
So just to make a comment, so we probably didn't get a memo because at the time, until Sean wrote up from the 2019 budget he had a copy of, it said that the Board of Finance has the final say on any kind of salary increases, which I didn't know, never came across me before. Since 2019, it's never been on the budget, so we'll get it back on the cover page of the budget. This started, again, negotiations in the summer. We did the reval, the notices for reval went out, I believe, the Thursday or Friday after Thanksgiving. We didn't know what the reval was going to be. I didn't know what the salary survey results are going to be. I mean, it could have been that we were already in line, and everybody was already making what they should be making. So we don't know those results. So we could have been $5,000 per person more than this, or basically we were flat. That there was no raises because we're right where we need to be. We didn't know that. And again, we didn't know the results of the reval until the notices went out in late November, which were already into the survey. And at that point, we thought this is still a selectman's decision. I don't know, it's the Board of Finance's decision. So, and I think I know it's apples and oranges, but both the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance just approved. It got cut down at the town meeting. We approved up to $30,000 for a one-day event, and we're talking about a group here that's it's a group that's it's a well-oiled machine as far as our staff at this town hall. And just that doesn't look well to say that, okay, you approved this, but now you're not going to approve that. And I voted to approve the up to $30,000 on the America 250 also. It got voted down at the town meeting. So and there was a lot of questions at the town meeting. Well, why do we vote for this and not that and so on? So I'm willing to defend this at a public hearing at the town for the town budget, and again at the town meeting for the town budget. But I think I can't get there if we don't approve this evening.
If it's not approved tonight, do you have to collect the past 2 weeks? And I think that may be a treasury question, if you would mind, Sean, or not. I don't know, because if we decide not to approve it, that means retroactive, the pays shouldn't have gone out. So understanding that we are, the procedural didn't get followed in the proper procedure. Part of that procedure didn't get followed because of somebody removing something from previous, if I'm correct, the way Sean mentioned it to us, that it didn't get flagged up in front of you and us. I don't know how we straighten that out.
Well, here's the thing, if you don't approve it tonight, I don't know the answer to this question, but I imagine if you don't approve it, then it means that any pay they already have would have to be brought back, correct, I assume? And if I'm an employee and I work for a town, and this was negotiated in good faith with the union and an MOU, and now the town's saying, by the way, we overpaid you by $1,700 and you have to give it back. I don't know what door that opens. We shouldn't say that shouldn't derail us from our vote to say yes or no, because that's my problem to figure out how that's going to happen. But I know if as an employee and it happened to me, I wouldn't be happy with it. I'm thinking that, well, gee, we got this, the union approved it, the town approved it, well, the first selectman approved it, the Board of Selectmen now approved it, and now you're telling me I have to give this money back. I don't know how that would work. I have to talk to an attorney about that, and I'm not sure what the reaction would be of the employee. First, he'd probably be upset, he or she would be upset, and then I don't know what would happen after that, so I would hate to
They
speculate.
end up with another 4 months without it.
I would venture that from an accounting standpoint, if we don't vote for this, their next paycheck would be reduced by the amount equal to what they got in additional pay. And so they wouldn't have to write a check.
Yeah, and the other two would be wrote off.
Right. So.
I'm trying to figure out how I can. So you have a union contract negotiation happening in July 2025. And at the time, the union representatives know that you're planning on cutting an assessor position. Is that correct? And they know that you're cutting an IT position, which is also a union position. Right, well, you're not going to re-up it. So in July of 2025, the union's looking at you saying, what are you going to do for our people for the fiscal year of 2025, 2026? Would that be a correct statement? They're not saying, what are you going to do for our people for the fiscal year 26, 27? Well, they are. Because you're not going to have a full-time assessor in the new year. You're not going to have an IT person in the new year. So was that basically the impetus for starting the market survey in 2025 that then culminated into a decision to use some of the savings money to put towards union people and non-union people to bring them up per the market survey? I'm just trying to say, this is a cart before the horse thing. Yes, but when do you do the survey to then put it in the budget? When we're doing the budget from January to July.
So Mike, I think that if you,
What's that?
Why was it enacted now? Why didn't we wait till July? That's my question.
so I think it was because it started so early, Dan. It was just almost a good faith move by management to say we appreciate our employees. We don't forget, if we didn't enact this now, the town is saving $112,764. We're still saving $112,000. Next year, when it's fully enacted with the full raises, we're still saving $62,000. So right now, if we did enact it, to me, this is a good fiscal decision by the town to say, hey, we just saved $112,000. And we're going to give 35 of it back next year and 8 to 9 of it back now. But overall, we're still, even next year, a full year, saving almost $63,000. So when you're saving $112,764 on your employees, and you don't want to give 9,000 of it back, I think to me, that doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't you want to protect your employees?
My point in what I was talking about is like the union is looking to the town to benefit their union members in this fiscal year. Because they lost the IT person. They already know for this fiscal year that there's no replacement, and they know that the assessor's leaving halfway through the year. So they're looking for something to be done in this year. That's the reason. And I don't need fucking texting me.
And so there's 8 positions, if I'm counting this correctly, and 4 of them are union. Suzanne, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but so
Yes and yes.
Yes.
What?
What was?
I'm sorry, I was just making sure that I understood that there's 8 positions and 4 are union.
Yeah.
Okay.
So was,
Motion to
what was,
approve the salary survey for the raises in the position.
You're muted.
Thank you. I move to accept the salary survey as presented with the raises to begin when they did on whatever date just recently. And at the latest, but as of the vote of the Board of Selectmen. And I'd make it retroactive. So I have a second
Second.
discussion.
when you did the union negotiations, as you were closing the negotiations, was the MOU that you talked about, the survey, part of the negotiations at the time? Or was that something added afterwards?
It was an agreement with the union that we would go through this process. Then we came after we had the results to see if they would agree with it.
So they wanted to negotiate, they wanted the stuff done during this year, and the only way they closed their contracts is if you agree to it.
Right. Right, so because if we didn't agree to do the salary survey,
Yep.
they could have held us up and said, well, we want to have you post for a full-time assessor and possibly a full-time IT person like we had in the past. We don't have that now, so,
Listen to this part.
I mean, the union could have said that, we won't accept a part-time position, we want a full-time position posted for it.
Any further discussion? I can't, no, I can't, John. Gary, why don't you start us off?
Start us
Yeah,
off.
nay. Yeah, nay.
Start us off. Oh, we're gonna do it one at a time? I'm against.
Yeah,
I'm against.
okay. Lou,
I'm for it. Yes.
I'm for it. Dan?
Oh, Carl, age before beauty.
I gave you a pass last time.
Carl?
So my feeling is that all 3 selectmen said yes. We have worried about our employees losing it.
You're muted,
We can't
Carl.
hear anybody.
Oh my God.
I gotta say that again.
Yep.
Our selectmen sent it to us as a full approval, no denials. They're trying to correct their system or where they're wrong with what they're doing. I'm more afraid of the employees themselves. I think I'm a yes, please.
You are a yes, or you think you're a yes?
I think I'm a yes, yes.
Anyone?
I don't like this at all. To be clear, we're just voting on. Can you tell me your motion again, please?
The motion is to accept the salary survey, which would provide what their yearly salary should be, and they're making it for the rest of the year applicable to the salary from retroactive from when it started just to the end of the year. And the rest of it for next year is going to be on the budget, is roughly what I'm talking about.
I'm going to abstain.
And I'm a no. 3, 2, 1,
3, 2, 1.
passes.
It passes. Okay,
I want to say one thing.
please.
Just in the future, before any major financial or any major decisions that have to deal with this town, I think some collaboration between this board and the Board of Selectmen would probably be beneficial going forward on this.
Yeah.
Before we have to, I'll say, clean up mess. Okay? Thanks.
Gary, we're not doing public comment right now. Gary,
What's up?
I didn't know if you had your hand up.
No.
Okay. Next agenda item is review of the Board of Selectmen General Government Draft Budget. We had draft 3 and we had plenty of discussion about it the other night. And there are, we're meeting with the Board of Education next Wednesday. Basically all I wanted to do, because we were trying to figure out, hey, where are we starting from? And with this reval year, it seems to be we're unable to figure out, is there a delta of additional non-real estate increases to which we can say, all right, we have that much room to absorb before we have a mill rate increase. And from what I was been looking at, there is no such scenario. And that's why I did for demonstration purposes only, these mill rate analyses. And email 1, as it shows at top, present net grand list using the fiscal 25-26 revenue and expense numbers. And I think the place to start before we get into any of the numbers are when we left the last meeting, Lou had suggested we look at a number using the 62% real estate increase, and whatever the mill rate on that would be, it just would never, ever work.
I think the number's 68, but maybe we're splitting hairs.
No. And I think the reason, because we're just then using the real estate numbers. And so that wouldn't take into consideration the drop in the solar fields.
Correct.
And the other changes in the other income. So.
Correct.
So that was just, pure math.
No, and I agree, but I did we used the number 18, you had thrown up the number 18, and you're talking $3 million hole. So
Right.
it's just
Can't
not,
do
it's
that.
a
Not gonna happen.
not gonna happen. So at the bottom line number of the total reval increase of 300,697,145 is 47.34%. Using the same math, Lou, of dividing 28.88 by 1.4734 gives you 19.6. All right. And when I plugged in the last year's numbers to keep everything static, And I included the 128,679 that we had from the undesignated fund, because that was part of what we did last year to balance the budget. We can't cover that nut with 19.6, it's 19.94. So, and I was racking my brain, I was talking to Dan, I emailed Jen Lineweaver, particularly about I thought maybe it was because of this tax exempt real estate that you see below that little table, that taxes in real estate went up 35,000. I'm like, we lost 35,000 from our grand list. 35 million, and that's not true. All of the real estate was revaled, including the exempt real estate.
It's just that that real estate went up.
Yes.
So
it was never included in the first place. But somewhere along the line, part of it is the fact that we lost that personal property from the solar fields, and but it should still be a 1-to-1. And I had Winona check the Excel cells, and they look fine. I'm still waiting to hear back from Jen. She only works on Fridays, and I'm trying not to tax her. No pun intended. But that's what it is, 19.94. And at the bottom left, you see what that does if that was the case. And that person with the median assessed value would have an 11.85 increase. I wanted to see if, from a starting point, what's our bottom line? And I was hoping it'd be 19.6, but it does not appear to be 19.6. But the second one is really what our starting line is. And only with one half of the puzzle so far. So just go to the second one. That's the present net grand list with the general government draft budget that was presented on draft 3. So again, we have the net grand list that does not include the solar farms. We have all of the revenue that's on draft 3. And I included the Ella Wheeler solar contract of 10669 because I don't see that money anywhere in any of the line items that are on the budget. And we have been collecting them under a contract that Sean negotiated. And that property is not on the grand list because it's a contractual arrangement. And unfortunately, Zane was not here this weekend to answer me or Bob as to how are we collecting those and has anybody ever accounted for it? Or are we just putting $106,000 in our undesignated fund every year?
Well, I don't think it's 106. I think it's a graduated.
It's
amount.
graduated. It's graduated, and we have it.
This is so much every single year, correct?
So year 2022 was 101,259. Grand list 2023 went up to 103, then 104, and this year it will be 106,669.
Yeah.
I got that from Zane last week.
So for the 20 years that we have that solar farm, we know exactly what we're getting from
Yes.
that. It's a stag. It doesn't matter if the property goes up in value twice as much or drops like a rock. We're going to get that no matter what.
Yes.
Got it.
And and this is a side note, that new legislation basically makes this arrangement for every new solar farm after July 1st, 2026. They're off the grand list and they're all contractual, that's set by the state. Okay? But so that, I have that number in there. And Zane's back Tuesday. And after we go with Board of Ed, I'll make sure that that number's in or out. But this is again, demonstration purposes and kind of like, this is the best case, worst case, because we don't have the solar, other solar in the grand list, but it does have Ella Wheeler in here.
Can I ask a question about
Yes.
that solar? So you had mentioned, I think the last meeting, that they are going to try and fix this. And would that fix, as we understand it, mean we will get money now? You know, well, as soon as they fix it, will that happen?
Well, the grand list for
As
twenty
it's-
twenty-five
Right?
would apply to the first installment in July 2026.
Mhm.
That's why she did not include it, because it can't go on this budget if it's not on the grand list of 2025.
Right.
When they fix it, she's allowed to revise her grand list to now include those two properties, those two different farms,
The $14 million. I
16 million.
Are they allowed to retroactively
thought it was, well, 14,
collect that?
okay.
Then it's not even being collected until
I know.
July.
It's not collected till July.
No, the grand list is the grand list and
Yep.
it will be collectable.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm correct, they haven't paid anything in the past
That's,
couple of
that's
years.
not true. One doesn't
One doesn't.
and one does.
Okay.
Because we're in
Sorry.
court with one.
Yes. And as I said before, I was worried because I was like, why are we putting that on a grand list if we can't collect it? It's in that 1.5% that's uncollectible that we account for every year,
Okay.
but it has to be in the grand list.
Yeah.
So in order, because and you'll see that, how did the mill rate go from 1.94 from last year's to 1.89 is because we have more revenue.
Mhm.
A lot more revenue from the other categories besides the grand list. And luckily, Bob's budget is not that high compared to where it was last year. It's only $150,000 more. So apples to apples, it lowers the mill rate necessary to cover the nut. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
In part because of the capital that we had accelerated last year.
Correct.
That's the only saving grace out of this whole thing is
Yeah.
we paid the capital. out.
Exactly.
Can we
Yes.
just clear up one point?
Yep.
So I think it was just mentioned that the property, no matter how it goes up or down, the contract's the same. The contract is only on personal property. So in that particular piece of land, the Mashantucket tribe owns the land underneath the personal property, which is the panels. The contract's for the panels. So if that land goes up in price, the Mashantucket's pay more money as it goes up in value.
Right.
So unlike Silicon Ranch that owns the property and the panels, but on the Lewis Farm, which is the Green Skies one that's in litigation, and the one that the Mashantucket's own property, that land can keep going up, but the contract's only on the personal property.
Right.
So they don't own the land underneath.
They do not. So two of the three solar farms do not own the land. Only Silicon Ranch does, the one on 184.
So all the real estate that all those panels are on is never came off the grand list and they're all still collectible.
Well, that's probably why we also see probably a double because you're getting the value of the solar panels themselves.
Right.
And then you're getting the land value on top of it
Correct.
under one address. Got it.
All right. So just back to the one we're looking at, which was number 2 here. That same taxpayer impact it's 11.5%. $603 extra. Okay, any questions?
And that's not counting on taking anything out of the undesignated fund to
None.
lower the mill rate.
No, I took, see from 2 from undesignated fund, I took that out. And let's be clear about this.
Mhm.
One of the reasons why we were in a hole right off and this goes back to our thing is, hey, what do we have to play with is what we thought, in usual years when you said, Darryl said, well, you got 1%, it equates to $800,000. Now we know that when the budgets come in and there are increases, if we want to keep the mill rate steady, you can't go above 800. We don't have that luxury here, and we're already, and we, in my opinion, because we did this in the past, when we had subsequent budget years, when we had the ability, we accounted for that use of undesignated fund in the prior year where you started in the hole.
Mhm.
Meaning that if we had 300,000 in the black because of grand list growth, and we used 150 the year before, we only have 150 to work with.
Okay.
All right, because otherwise we're going to compound. We need to put 128 every year, and we don't want to do that.
Because it'll draw, okay.
Okay, so this particular mill rate of 19.89, that's accounting with without that money coming in from the undesignated fund.
So, okay, help me. So this scenario 2.
Yep.
is no input from the undesignated fund,
Correct.
and it includes V2 of the Board of Selectmen budget,
Draft 3,
V3 of the Board of Selectmen budget,
yes.
and it includes the impact of the solar field,
Yes,
which is a change of what?
you'll see in the next one. It's 16 million. It's from her memo of understanding.
Okay, so, but the solar fields are in this V2?
The solar fields are not, 16 million of grand list value is out of this.
Yeah, it's like 19%. It puts us from the deep red to black on personal property.
Yeah,
So-
16,328,330 is off of the grand list presently. And that's reflected in the second slide.
Okay, so, but we only moved 0.05 with those 3 changes. Is that right? Is that what we're saying?
I was just giving you a baseline in the first one, but that's using last year's revenue and last year's expenditures. This year's revenue, which are additional taxes, use of town money, intergovernmental licenses, fees, other revenue, and Ella Wheeler Solar. Those all increased
This year.
proportionally higher than the general government budget went up. So that helped move the mill rate down. And this one has, all 3 of these have fiscal year 2025-26 Board of Education budgets. So that's not even part of the discussion yet, Judy.
Yeah, which we know it's gonna be a fun.
I wanted us to have this exercise because, number one, we needed a baseline number and really this is it. 19.89. And if that Ella Wheeler cannot be part of it, it's going to be higher than that. And I want to be able to hear the Board of Education and let them see this to know that, number one, even at this baseline, without any changes from Board of Ed, people are paying 11.57% higher on their
Already.
already
Baked in. That's,
baked in.
that's how it is.
So, and it's also a signal to the Board of Selectmen that if you are able to make cuts, I think this is the year to do it, particularly because, number one, it's a reval year and people are upset and confused. And number two, we have the potential for a lot of growth. We have potential for money to go in for permits to help grow the undesignated fund if it's this year, or to be accounted for in next fiscal year. We're going to have nice bumps in our grand list when those buildings and personal property come online. This might be the year that this is the year that we really have to be a little more draconian make it work. And I want to be able to, once we plug those numbers in to say, do we think that mill rate that's going to be in that top left corner is palatable and the percentage that's in the bottom left, is that something that this Board of Finance thinks that the town's going to swallow?
Maybe not quietly.
Yeah.
But,
Or by July.
But let's try to move to the third slide, just so we can kind of breeze through this. This is with the grand list with the solar farms included. If you look at the top right, that changes personal property from a loss to a gain of 1.94%. That bumps the total to 49.91%. The mill rate really should have gone down to 19.26. If everything worked equally, which still in my non-math mind doesn't work, but with the present revenue on draft 3 of the budget and the government expenditure budget on draft 3, Board of Ed staying stagnant from last year. And we have a variance of 7,000. That's the closest I could get, was 19.55. That's our best case scenario, guys.
So just refresh my memory, because we throw a lot of numbers out in the last 24 hours, you and I.
Yeah.
The solar farm is the one that is the one that is still out, and that's one we can collect. That's not the one including with litigation for back payment, correct?
Both would be then back on the grand list.
It would both back on the grand list, but we haven't collected on one of them.
That was my concern. And the amount that's in there is within that uncollectible 1.5% that we don't account for.
Okay.
Well within.
Okay. Got it.
All right. We've already been accounting for these many years that we've been in litigation and not collecting that.
Yep.
And 98.5% we're able to
Just double check
cover our nut.
Yep.
That clear to everyone?
I just want to make sure that everybody, we have all these solar farms and everything, make sure that we understand that it's not all of them.
No, we collect on.
It's the ones we can collect on. It's not all of them.
One of them's not on the grand list, but
Correct.
that's contractual, Ella Wheeler. 2 are not on the grand list at this point. When they go back on, and I'm very hopeful and confident that they will, those have to go back on. We know in reality, we're only collecting on one, but the other one is within our margin. Let's call it our margin of error.
Margin of error, yeah.
And that's why we collect at 98.5% or budget on 98.5% and not on higher than that.
Yep. Got it.
And what is this other revenue line again? The 535,
The what?
535 other revenue?
That is on your budget, everyone. If you go to draft 3,
That's A5, right?
you have
Yep, it's A5. It's all.
the sale of scrap, traffic, transfer stickers, bulky waste. It's all laid out.
Okay.
It's the catch-all.
Yep,
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
There's the sausage. The one I'm on there is just, that's how it's made, and the sausage is on my sheet. And that's why I'm looking at all these, because they are broken out. Where is Ella Wheeler? All these revenue line items, it's not there. So I'm hoping that I'm gonna have it there. What? Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
There has to be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'd actually,
It should
I'd
be.
actually like to know why it wasn't, where was that money last year? And
Well, there's givebacks. There's been givebacks for the last several years, and that's obviously. part of
I
it.
mean, it's a line item in the budget. Shouldn't that 106 be a line item in our budget?
It should be.
Mhm.
So.
And, maybe the silver lining to this whole solar farm debacle is that I was provided with the tax documents from Zane that showed that this was a contractual arrangement and it's not subject to the grand list mess up by the legislature. And so it's never been part of the grand list because it's contractual. Just the personal property. The real estate is on the grand list.
Mhm.
All right, so this is just for, for us to get our minds around about, what kind of trouble we're in to start off. And so that's why we will be looking to Bob to sharpen, and we might have to make some tough decisions on that budget outside of what he's already sharpening. There's only $7,300 that we know that should be cut. The other ones are really going to be up to him, and we'll have to, we still have an opportunity to still mull over that. And once we get the Board of Ed, and I don't want to sit there and make these guys do cuts and then the percentage of increase goes down, and then without having the Board of Ed be scrutinized with the budget as these guys want it to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, everybody's got to play on the same playing field.
There is one caveat, I guess, to this, and that is we're using the median assessed value. So half of the properties are less, half of the properties are more. We don't know the distribution in that, because that's just the number. So it's going to be interesting to see how much of an impact that has on the higher end of that median.
I don't, and I think, Jonna had mentioned something about something that's on the Stonington website where there's a calculator that the citizens can go on and throw in their assessment and figure it out. And those calculators are out there, and you take the mill rate and you move it over 3 decimal places and multiply by your assessment. There you go. There's your calculator. You take your assessment and multiply by 0.0288 presently, and whatever the new mill rate proposal, or if you want to assume it's going to be 19.89 right now, you multiply by 0.1989. And that's your new assessment. Right, and then you minus what you paid last year, and that's the difference. You divide that what you paid last year, and it comes up with your percentage.
And if you have escrow, you double it, because usually you can't run a shortage unless you want to add money to your escrow and everything. So if you owe 1,000, you probably will owe 2,000 because you can't go in the hole on your escrow. Just be forewarned on that one. Still, you're going to be,
Correct. Do we have questions? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Go.
So not specifically related to this mill rate calculation, but have we heard of like the snowstorms? Like, how's the highway department doing with their budget? Are we looking at an appropriation for paying for overtime for the snow removal? New mailboxes, guardrails, curbing.
Okay. So we won't know that yet. We know that we're over in the snow removal, but there'll be other places in that same category that'll be under.
Okay.
That's what we did last year. So last year when we were over by about 20 grand, we needed a small appropriation. Actually, we covered it within the same. So if we're over by 40 grand and there's 20,000 left in that line, I only have to come for an appropriation for 20. But we know we're over. That's the one line that we are over. And might be some other ones we're over by small amounts, and other ones we're way under. So we won't know that yet. But I think there'll be some under budget items in that category. Luckily for us, that's a big category. So.
All right. See, but you haven't heard Alan's hair's not on fire right now.
No,
Okay.
he's not. It's his more on fire with all the cuts I'm proposing to road work for next year. So.
Okay.
Mike, I might be looking at this incorrectly again, but I don't know if there's a way we could get that distribution, because because this is the median number, meaning half the houses in North Stonington are less than 292.
Correct.
The other half are above 292.
Yep.
So when you take the total of both of those groups in value, the one to the right could be substantially higher, not just
There's, yes,
so
that's why you use median and not average.
well, yeah, but I guess what I'm thinking in this case, we might just want to look at average. This might be a time, given all the changes, that we could get a better sense about what we'll be collecting. Because we're going to be collecting on those higher numbers from half the population. So
You're still collecting 98.5% of,
yeah, but what I'm saying is that if on the lower half, it's $1 million total, and the upper median, because of this, how the properties are skewed in value, that could be 10 million. So there could be a lot more value to the right side of the median line that we're not taking into account by this calculation.
But Lou, correct me wrong,
That's,
some of those houses might not have went up all in value because they were already valued high to begin with.
yeah, because
Because they just built the house.
Right, but it's
The house came out normal.
It's not the increase, it's the value that we're going to be assessing against.
Right, so if you
Whether they
take, if you
want or
take a
not.
house that was 400,000 and put 0.028 to it, you get this amount.
Right.
If you take that same house at 400,000 and put 19 for it, we're actually gonna lose money.
Right, okay, I understand that part,
Okay.
but, I think we might be, all I'm saying is we'll have to take a look at it, but I think we might be undercounting how much tax we're gonna collect based on the distribution of the value of houses. That's what I'm getting at.
I don't understand that really, Lou, but do you want me, are you saying there should be more examples here, or we should not be using the median?
I'm just thinking it's a data point, and I'm thinking this might be one of those odd places. What's the average? Because, I mean, if on the absurd side, if there's 1,000 houses in the whole town, 500 of them are less than the median. There's 500 that are more than the median. And if we just skew it so that the left side, 500 homes were valued at 25,000 apiece, but they got right into the median, then the right side of the number could be much, much higher. And that's what we're going to be collecting on. That's what we're going to be charging against. So I'm thinking it might help us a little bit. That's all.
I can just make a point to his point is, per new assessor, because did not know this myself. The new house got built last year. We know that there's some pretty large homes that got built within the last year. They're all being assessed to 2020 assessed values. They're all flat assessment, so we didn't do another assessment in 2021, 22, 23, 24. So you might have a house right now that should be valued at $1 million. It's valued at 525,000 because it's assessed off what was assessed in 2020, even though it wasn't built in 2024. So you've got a point that a lot of those houses are going to make the bigger houses are going to make the bigger jumps. That's your point. Where the Kingswood and Cedar Ridge took bigger jumps in 2020, they won't take as big a jump now as they did then.
Well, we did get there was a question that was put out to Jen Lineweaver about the median for residential properties, so the number that we have on that memo is all real estate. So you gotta take, that's the solar farms that are under the ground, so residential property went up 68% townwide. There was 1,120 properties that fell below that number and 1,114 properties that exceeded it. So to your point.
So, when you take the value of those two groups, the one to the right is going to be could be substantially higher, so it could have an impact. on what we end up collecting.
But we already know the grand list.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm missing your math.
I don't want to nitpick the grand list to figure out
Yeah,
how
no,
many
that's okay.
$10 million homes versus $200,000 homes.
What I'm saying is we could be.
Tax dollars are tax dollars.
I mean,
Saving grace here, that's all. I'm saying.
but we already know the grand list is what it is. Like, that's already been calculated. She gave us that memo.
Certified.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
It is.
But the person that's looking at is gonna understand what their tax bills are.
right,
Yeah.
but so the example could be different, like
Right.
that, perhaps that's the point, is
Right.
that
Just to show you.
the
I mean,
median,
once we, and this is maybe your point, when we do the town hearing, that's our presentation.
Mhm.
If we want to have a slide where here's the
Yeah.
median, here's,
maybe have
you know,
10
and
examples.
have 4 examples of, even though I know the math is the math, but we can show it on there and so everybody and have the percentage of increase and so we have examples for them to see. I don't disagree with that at all. Gary, you have anything to add?
You had asked a question way back when about how we felt the taxpayer might feel about a 10% or so increase. Did we actually give you an answer on that? Because I'm going to go on a limb here and I don't think that's going to be embraced.
No, and I mean, Gary, I agree with you. And I think if you went back 3 or 4 or 5 meetings ago, I mentioned that and got crucified sitting up here because that's the math that I was running. And we don't even have the second budget yet. So that's, it's a number that, and I wish that my assessment was at 68. So I'm one of those people that's not in the average. So, or the median or the whatever. I'm bringing up the rear, guys. So,
And I think that's why this exercise is important because that percentage there, when it all shakes out, is going to be probably the main determinant of whether this board thinks that this budget is viable for the town to go to the town.
There's a lot of people think that the starting point, the reset point is a lot lower. That's
Yeah.
what they think.
I know,
I'm telling you.
I know.
It's even the math I was doing like
Mhm.
2 weeks ago, talking to people, I'm like, oh, well, and I'm like, it's like gonna be like, low 18s.
no, I mean, people
No,
thought
wrong.
we were starting at half, right?
Yep.
If the assessment doubled, the mill rate is cut in half. Like, that's the rhetoric in town.
And we started off like that. I started off thinking that.
Mhm.
I know when we first came in here and I had my first spreadsheet,
They're like,
Gary thought, it was like, no, it should be like 10 or 12.
17
And
or.
then logically, it makes such sense, but it doesn't
Until you do the math.
until you do the math.
Right, because you take, what you're doing is you're taking a bigger number and a half of that, which you can't because. you're
It's-
taking-
So,
No,
and this is compounded by when everybody's hair was on fire when they got their revals and the message came out, don't worry, the mill rate's going to drop. Well, not so much.
Yeah, dropping,
Well,
but
it's gonna
not,
drop. It
it's-
might not drop to the
right.
level that people
And-
think.
Yeah,
I mean, the other part of this too, that we keep kicking around and Bob, you know this as well, is that the PA 490 piece is not resolved. It's paused. And that will be coming back around as well. So that's another thing that 30% of our land in this town is going to be dealing with at some other point in time. That could be this fall as well. So that's not far from people's minds either. That's nothing that this board can control, but that's something that as a board, we need to be very cognizant of as well.
All right, well, this gives us at least, a mindset of, all right, here's where we are, guys, and we're in trouble. And we're in trouble in math. I mean, and I don't, we are in such good shape as a town And, you know, the growth level is there, the interest is there, you know, in talking to Jen Lineweaver, you're talking about how Eastern Connecticut is just such an attractive place at this point, residentially and commercially as a kind of untapped resource. You know, there's ways to feel really good about this, and the growth of our grand list is reflective of that. It's just budgetarily wise, we are in a tough spot. And I think everybody on this board understands that. You know, having the Board of Selectmen already here and going over these numbers, they understand that we're going to have to convey that to the Board of Education when we hear their budget. And part of the reason having this exercise is to show how difficult a spot we're in already. So if, you know, when they present, and if, you know, from what I hear with their increase, they're going to have to go back to the drawing board. And I want to be able to show them why they have to. And this shows them why. Okay.
Well, I think somebody should have an answer to the question when people say, my taxes are going up 10%, for what? Where's the incremental value associated with this increase of 10%? We're already buying dump stickers, Bob.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're at 10% baseline, right? That's before we're even.
Yeah, but
So-
I'm saying a 10% increase, but I don't see any level of service increase, you know, so somebody's gonna have to connect those dots.
So that's gonna be the Board of Selectmen and Board of Ed to sell it. Send it to the town. That's their job.
Well, this budget includes $142,000 for 40 hours of per diem firemen.
Yeah, I think, you know, we did this to get a good feel that, you know, we've got some work to do.
Right.
But I think to Gary's point, we have the 8% increase in the budget presented the general from the town, government operating. But with the savings of 316, we're looking at an increase of just 0.65, right?
Right.
And that's what's in here, in your calculations.
Correct.
And the school budget is put in exactly where it was,
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
The revenues have gone up.
Yes.
So I guess
The non-reval revenues
Right.
that are on those other lines.
and again, I guess as I'm looking at it with Gary, I think we need to spend a little more time on this because I'm not seeing that math come together. Because if the revenue is going up, that's not driven by the valuation. And the only budget increase we've got so far built in here amounts to a less than 1% increase.
We lost 128,679, don't forget.
$128,000, I don't think makes a 10% increase in the budget rate.
The increase on the tax exempt, and then on top of that, the personal property loss.
Okay, that's right. So but
I think
in this one, we don't have that. It's in there.
I understand.
So that doesn't impact the 9.66. So I guess what I'm saying is I think we need to revisit, do some more work on this. That's a good heads up as far as where we could go.
I would love,
I'm not sure
take
that-
my Excel spreadsheet, and you as a math guy, I would love for there to be a mistake there somewhere where, why don't we get back down to 9.6?
I'm trying to, and again.
Why?
Maybe the number's there.
Yeah,
Maybe it's
9.6 would
right.
be great.
It's just, it doesn't seem to be clicking.
19.6, I mean.
With a 1% increase in the budget, as you're presenting it with the school staying flat. I guess we're really gonna take a look at how we got that, how that happened. I think
I'm only one guy and I'm not,
I'm not
and I'm not taking offense. I'm just saying, I would love it if, anyone who wants to take a look at, the budget's here.
Yep.
The spreadsheet, you have it, it's not it's not locked.
No, and
It's one we've used forever.
we should go back and look at an old version of the file. That's what I suggested to Mike earlier, is go back and look at last year's mill rate calculation.
Plug in the
file.
numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just kind of redo and see if we get the same answers. And I haven't had time to do that yet.
Yeah.
Right, and that's because right, it doesn't.
I nominate Lou and Winona.
I already nominated Winona before we even came here today, so.
Nominated, I will not, no.
Will not serve.
Can we bounce up to the next one?
Yeah.
Let's-
All right. This is supposed to be a short meeting.
It's not.
Move on to what's next? Minutes?
8 minutes.
Minutes from,
So I did send new ones out, but I also fixed the other ones.
so this is 126:26. Right? We still have to do that one?
Yeah, I think it's 127. Sorry.
Right, so 11, Dan made a motion to accept the policy as written after eliminating the third bullet point, which had the verbiage unforeseen circumstances. Lou seconded and vote passed 6-0.
Yep.
That clears that up.
Yep.
All right, move to accept the January 21st, 2026 minutes as amended.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries 6-0. All right, we have minutes from 2/4/2026.
So that one just had incorrect dates on it and misspellings for people speaking in town. So
Okay,
those were
and I think I had the wrong date on it or something like that. Yep, I looked at that. Make a motion to accept the 2/4/2026 minutes as presented, or as amended.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 6-0.
And then if you want, we can table the minutes I sent today. That gives everybody a week to look at them and find, I'm sure there's.
Is that 218? Is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that puts me 2 meetings behind after this one.
Well, let's take a look at it. It's
Ed, 2 meetings behind, you're raising the bar.
exactly. Yeah. That looks good to me. I make a motion to accept the minutes of February 18th, 2026 as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 6-0. Public comment.
Somebody start.
Am I on? Sean Murphy, 23 Kingswood Drive. I ask you to take a look at B27.02.
I'm sorry.
B27.02 on page 5.
B27.
B27.02, yeah, town road maintenance. $110,000 less.
Mhm.
I don't know if any of you questioned this number already or.
We did. We
You
talked,
did.
Bob had an explanation that dealt with the increase from the town to the town from the state that
Well, then,
almost offset that. And he said that he discussed that with the road crew and I mean, I know he just left. but
Oh,
he
I
did do
see it.
that.
I see it now. It's the increase in
From the state.
state aid road.
Correct.
On the revenue side.
yes,
So that number is considerably larger.
Right.
It's
Doesn't exactly
still
equal.
30,000, but I was wondering how we were going to get by with $110,000 less road
Yeah.
and drainage maintenance, but
That-
we're only 30 off.
yeah.
Thank you.
There are more questions to follow on this budget, Sean.
Yeah, I
I
just thought. I'd
personally am
be
not
here.
commenting until we hear the school one, and then we can sort of decide where we want to drill in.
Yeah, we're kind of like
Thank you.
we're leaving this one, those were addressed the other night and they will be addressed again amongst other line items. And when when we have a final number and we gotta look at both boards to make hard cuts. Any other public comment online? Hearing none, motion to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor?
All right.
All right.
yabba dabba do.
I don't know how to do it. I'll mess it up. I just realized our nameplates weren't. How did we